All right, y'all. How many of you remember Mama or Granny or Nana or whoever it was making good old cream corn? It is corn season. I'm getting it for 44 cents an ear, and it is time for you to cream up some corn. I'm going to show you how to do it from start to finish. Let's get started, and let me show you how to do it. All right, creamed corn is in our volume 1 cookbook, and you can tell our cookbook has large print and 1 recipe per page. So there is the creamed corn, and it tells you how to make fried corn and creamed corn, and it talks about field corn as well. All right, corn's 44 cents an ear. That's pretty doggone cheap, y'all, when a can of corn costs a blasted fortune these days. So while the corn is in season, it is time to prepare it. I'm going to shuck some corn. I'll just show you how to do one, and then I'll get them all prepped, okay? So you're going to shuck it. You're going to use a brush, a vegetable brush. I use my Lodge cast iron cleaning brush. And you're going to brush the corn really well to get off the extra silk. Now, if for some reason the silk are packed down in between the kernels, you can use a little paring knife, like there's one, and you can go in there and, dig them out and pull them out like that until you have a piece of corn that's ready to cream. I want to show y'all this way of getting the silks off too. I find it very effective. You just pick up the cob and you just scrub it back and forth, and it really does remove the silk really well. Sometimes better than a brush if your brush is not a stiff brush. Some people talk about pushing an ear of corn through a bundt pan, but you can tell I can't do that with my bundt pan. It doesn't have a large hole, and this one has a really large hole. So I can't do that with mine. I personally don't like to do that anyway because I like for my corn to be cut in smaller pieces. And I don't like it to be whole kernel. I like it to be creamy. So in order to do that, you have to cut it off in layers. Now, this piece of corn is a lot smaller than this piece of corn. So we should get a lot more off this ear. And I could get at least 3 layers off of this one. I may be only to get 2 off of this one, but we'll see once we start. Now, the first thing to do, the smartest thing to do, is to have a good knife sharpener. This is one I recommend y'all buy. It is called a SOG. And you just take it and pull the lever down, and it sticks to your counter, and you pull it towards you to sharpen your knife. And when you have a very sharp knife, when you're creaming corn, it goes much faster and it's so much easier. So if you've never invested in a good knife sharpener, I suggest you get you one. They're wonderful. Okay, I'm gonna wipe it off. And I'm going to show y'all how I start my corn. I always use the sink. I always use something in the sink to put the corn in. I always let the corn rest on the bottom of whatever I'm using so that I don't have to hold it up in the air the whole time because it's harder on my arm. And then I just go down the corn like so. And I rotate it as I go. And I try to cut the tips off first. Now this is going to splatter and make a mess. And I used to have a sink that was up against the wall, and I would put a sheet pan behind the faucet so that when it splattered, it would go on my sheet pan instead of my walls. But I don't have that anymore. So I just move everything out from behind the sink and start my cutting. And then once I'm done, then I clean it up. And then once you get all the corn off the cob and you think you've gotten most of the corn, then you milk it by scraping it with the back of your knife. And then you can also use actually a larger paring knife like this to do corn. It does really good because it only goes so thick. It's probably the best thing to use. If you've got one of these, this works better than a knife. Maybe I'll just use this today. And you can tell it's going to take it off in the same size all the way around, and you're just going to keep going around the corn until the corn is off the cob. That is making some really good corn. Perfect. Now this is the larger paring knife made by Rada. The knives that your mom had when you were growing up, the Rada knives with the silver handle. That's what these are, except now they make them with black handles so that you can put them in the dishwasher. Rada has two different sizes of paring knives. This is the larger one, and this is the best one to use for your corn. The smaller one we'll try and see how it does. Right quick. Yeah, it just wants to make the corn, it just makes the corn want to bunch up, and it doesn't do well at all. So the smaller paring knife don't work. You'll have to get you one of these, which is their larger paring knife. And I'll make sure and give y'all a link to their website, and you can go through our store, and that way we can get a little bit of a credit for what you buy. That's the best thing yet that I've used to cream corn with. So the first layer, you get the tips of the kernels. So you got to go all the way around doing that. I'll show you the cob after we get done doing that. This thing is wonderful. I'm so glad I grabbed it instead of my knife. And that's how it looks when you get the tips off. Now we're going to go around it again, and I'll show you how that looks. See, it's nice and thin. This is going to be delicious cream corn. And you're just going to keep working at it. So if you don't have one of these larger paring knives and you put up a lot of corn, man, you need to get you one. And if you get together with family and get corn out of the garden, and a lot of you get together and do your corn once a year, which is what we did as a family when I was little. Everybody went down to Granny's, and we were all shucking and silking and creaming corn at the same time. So it was a family affair lots of times. We did the same thing with different things out of the garden, peas and stuff. We'd all go down there and help Granny shuck or peel or hull. Now I'm going to show you how fast it is just to do one with this so that you'll get an idea. And this is not in fast motion. So I didn't speed up the camera is what I'm saying. And you just keep going around until all the corn's off. That's how fast it is. And then you can do the tips. Pick it up, make sure you get the ends and the tips. I think I've actually wasted less corn doing it this way. I think it's wonderful. I'm so thrilled with this paring knife. I'm going to show y'all how much corn got away from me and didn't get in my dish I was using. And you can tell I didn't waste hardly nothing. That's all I had in and around the sink when I finished doing my cream corn. All right, we will be doubling this recipe. This is 6 ears of corn. You're going to use 1.5 cups of water for 6 ears, a teaspoon of salt, a 1/4 teaspoon of pepper, and 3 tablespoons of either salted butter, margarine, or bacon grease. So that would be 3/4 of a stick of butter. And I choose not to put bacon grease in mine, and that's a preference. Whatever your family preference is what you use. Now we're going to add the salt. And every time I grab my salt, I have a salt dish that says, "You are the salt of the earth," Matthew 5:13. And it reminds me that we are the salt of the earth. All right, so you're going to have 2 teaspoons because this is doubling. It's a 1/4 teaspoon of pepper, so that would be a 1/2 teaspoon doubled. And this one says, "For everything there is a season," Ecclesiastes 3:1. So a 1/2 teaspoon of pepper. And you're going to let this cook a few minutes, and then it'll tell you how to cream the corn, and I'll show you how to do that when we're ready to thicken it. We're going to turn it on and cook it about 5 to 8 minutes. All right, once it starts cooking, you're just going to stir in that salt and pepper good. All right, it's time to thicken up the corn. Now remember, I doubled this recipe, so you're going to be using milk and cornstarch. And since I'm doubling it, it's going to be 3 cups of cold milk and 6 tablespoons of cornstarch. And that's for 12 ears of corn. So we are going to get our cornstarch in here. And you want your milk to be cold, and that way the cornstarch does mix in there good and evenly. Doesn't get lumpy. So we're going to have 6 of these. I'm making a big batch because the corn was on sale. One more. This makes cream corn, and I mean it gets creamy quick. So all you're going to do is use a whisk and whisk that good. Now, a lot of y'all are going to want to get that peeler after watching this, and you should. It's a good price. It's from an American-made company, and I am going to have it all fixed up for you. It's going to be on the first page of the website, and it'll also be in the description if you want to go and buy that through our affiliate store in Rada. Now we're going to pour this into our corn. So your corn's been cooking about 8 to 10 minutes. And your salt and everything's already in there. So now all you're doing is creaming it. You're going to add your milk and cornstarch. And you're going to see it cream up pretty quick. Now, as the cornstarch gets warm, it'll start to thicken. And you need to cook this about 5 minutes and make sure you're stirring it good and you don't let it stick or anything crazy. It's starting to get thick, but it's not quite ready. It's going to get nice and thick. I should be able to put some in the freezer. At least a couple of, I should be able to put a couple of servings of this in the freezer for me and Chris, and that way we can pull it out when we want to eat some for supper. Now, it is easy to make this, y'all, especially if you have that peeler or a good knife, and it is the time of year to do it. So it is worth every minute you spend, and it is so much better than the frozen corn that you can buy in a tube. I promise you, you will be so glad you made this.
Tell them how to freeze it.
Now, all I'm going to do to freeze it is put it in a plastic. I'm going to use my Tupperware containers. and put it in the freezer. That's all there is to it. Or you can, when it cools down, you can put it in a freezer bag and label it. Now it's ready. It's nice, it's thick and creamy. But now you're going to let it cook, just a couple of minutes. All right, it's ready, y'all. Don't that look good? Boy, that's some good stuff, y'all. Now, Chris says he can remember his mama and Granny stirring the corn. So, you do want to stir it, make sure it doesn't scorch. And boy, it looks good. We're going to get something and serve me up a little bit. I'm going to taste it for y'all. And it really did make a lot of corn. I don't know how much that thing holds, but it's almost full. I'm not sure if I'm going to video the okra and stuff for y'all for later to watch, but man, this just turned out so good. And I have never done cream corn as a video. I've always done it live, and so I wanted to do a really good how-to video on making cream corn. You can't hardly beat it now. I mean, you can't beat it. There's nothing like homemade cream corn. Now, fried corn, you cut the kernels off in large pieces, and then you just cook it in some butter or bacon grease, and you don't thicken it. That's the difference in a fried corn and a cream corn. Man, this is so good. There's nothing any better in the summertime. The good old cream corn, homemade ice cream, and a watermelon. I hope you're enjoying your day and your Memorial Day weekend. And we thank you for watching Collard Valley Cooks, where we cook like Mama did. We'll see you next time. Love ya.